There are faces that history remembers clearly. We see them everywhere. Kings carved into the side of mountains. Emperors frozen forever in cold white marble. We think we know them because their images are immortal. But then, there are faces that history remembers only through fear. By the age of 30, one name stretched from the rugged peaks of Greece to the humid edges of India: Alexander. To some, he was a liberator. To others, a nightmare. Under his sandals, cities burned. Ancient empires collapsed like houses of cards. Borders that had stood for centuries simply dissolved. But while the world remembers what Alexander conquered, it rarely asks a quieter, more haunting question. What did the conqueror himself actually look like? Not the god you see on coins, not the myth written in scrolls, not the golden-haired hero shaped by the imaginations of poets. We want to find the human face, the one that stared across bloody battlefields and never looked away. Today, we peel back 2,300 years of propaganda to find the man beneath the marble. It's a common mistake to think Alexander was a legend during his lifetime. In reality, he was a king, a general, and a politician. The legend was a product created after he could no longer control his own image. The moment he died in Babylon, the branding began. Greek poets described him as a literal son of Zeus. Egyptian priests, seeking to legitimize his rule, crowned him divine, a pharaoh god. Later, Roman historians reshaped him yet again, turning him into a symbol of Western triumph. Every culture that inherited the memory of Alexander remade his face to reflect their own ideals. He became youthful, perfect, untouched by the ravages of age or the shadows of doubt. But we must be careful. These images weren't documentation, they were worship. And as any historian will tell you, worship is the enemy of accuracy. Why don't we have a photo-accurate record? Because Alexander lived fast and he ruled violently. He didn't have the patience to sit for hours in a quiet studio for a portrait. He was a man of motion. He marched. While sculptors like Lysippus followed his army, they weren't capturing a man, they were capturing a brand. They carved symbols, the Leocari-style hair, the anastoli, the cowlick, the melting gaze. They were creating an icon for a new world order. Then came the chaos. When Alexander died at 32, his empire fractured overnight. His generals, the Diadochi, turned on each other. No single authority remained to preserve his true likeness. Instead, each successor used Alexander's face on their coins to say, "I am the rightful heir." With every new coin struck and every new statue commissioned, his real face drifted further away from reality. If you go to a museum today, you'll see the Hellenistic version of Alexander. A young man with soft, flowing curls, a head tilted slightly upward, as if conversing with the gods, eyes that look into a distant, unreachable future. These features were deliberate. In Greek art, a tilted head and melting eyes represented pathos, an inner longing or divine inspiration. It signaled to the viewer, this man has a destiny you cannot touch. But statues are the ultimate propaganda. They tell us how Alexander wanted to be remembered, not how he looked after 10 years of campaigning in the dust of Asia. Stone doesn't show the gray of exhaustion. Marble doesn't show the jagged scars of a spear wound. To find the truth, we have to look past the stone. Ancient writers like Plutarch and Arrian left us fragments. If we piece them together, the god starts to look much more human. They described him as relatively short by modern standards, but incredibly broad-shouldered and physically powerful. They noted a restless energy, a man who couldn't stay still. And they mentioned the look, a piercing, intense gaze. His habit of tilting his head to the left wasn't just an artistic choice. It might have been a physical quirk, or a result of a neck injury in battle. There are even more specific details. Some sources suggest he had heterochromia, one eye dark brown, the other a piercing blue. Others mention a deep scar across his forehead from a Persian axe. These aren't the features of a statue. These are the details of a survivor. We must remember, Alexander was Macedonian. He wasn't a refined philosopher from Athens, nor a ceremonial king from Persia. Macedonians were mountain people. They were hardened by bitter, cold, long winters and constant tribal warfare. From childhood, his body was a weapon. He was trained to hunt lions, break wild horses, and fight in heavy bronze armor under a blistering sun. His face would have reflected this harsh reality. Think of weathered, sun-damaged skin, a strong, set jaw, eyes that were permanently sharpened by the constant threat of assassination or mutiny. This was not a delicate prince. This was a soldier raised in a culture of blood and iron. To reconstruct a face, you must understand the mind behind it. Alexander lived under a crushing weight, the need to surpass his father, Philip II. He didn't just want to be a king. He wanted to be a myth. He slept with a dagger and a copy of the Iliad under his pillow. He trusted almost no one. He demanded absolute loyalty, and he punished hesitation with death. His expressions would not have been soft or melting like the statues suggest. They would have been controlled, hyper-focused, unforgiving. This was the face of a man who lived every day as if it were his last, because he never truly expected to grow old. Using modern forensic data and AI reconstruction, we can finally strip away the divinity. When we combine the Macedonian DNA profiles, the historical descriptions of his scars, and the bone structure found in Macedonian royal tombs, the image changes drastically. The god disappears. What remains is a young man, perhaps looking older than his years, carrying the unbearable weight of global ambition. We see a face marked by chronic stress, eyes that are alert even when the body is at rest, a mouth shaped by the habit of command, not by kindness. This isn't the Alexander of the Louvre. This is the Alexander of the front lines, dirty, scarred, and terrifyingly real. Alexander died at 32. Because he died so young, his face never had the chance to fade with age or sag with the regrets of a long life. It froze in time, becoming a vessel for everyone else's dreams. But behind every myth, there is a human cost. What did Alexander the Great really look like? He looked like a man who conquered the world, perhaps because he could never find a way to conquer the chaos inside himself. History is written by the victors, but the truth is hidden in the details. In our next episode, we strip the power from another legend, a man who turned a republic into an empire and paid for it in blood. Julius Caesar. Before the crown, before the betrayal.